If more of us valued food and cheer and song above hoarded gold, it would be a merrier world. J.R.R. Tolkien. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 14 of Commoners Honing All Disciplines podcast. You are what you eat. A very true statement. This episode is going to be focused all on nutrition for episode 2 of Jack January. We're going to go over beginner, intermediate, and expert level, slowly getting more esoteric throughout the episode. So if you can stick around for that. So to start off, why not eat whatever you want?
It's a very, very good question. Why not eat whatever the heck you want? I think the answer tends to be the same answer for anything that you can enjoy or you can abuse. It's because you will regret it. I think that's basically the answer. Unfortunately, like no one wants to hear that really. Like, oh, I could just eat whatever I want. It's not a big deal. Like, especially if you start to get older, like that's not true. It really does not hold true. Like as you start getting older in your 20s, once you pass about 20, 25, 26, your body will very likely start reacting to food a bit differently. And as you get into your 30s, your body definitely is telling you, you cannot eat what you ate as a teenager. You just can't do it. I can't handle this. I can't handle the heavy fats, the heavy like trans fats, right? Like I can't do it. Not that your body really could do it in the beginning, anyways, but it's just it can do it a lot less now, right? Those heavy fried foods, battered stuff, a lot of cheese, or like a lot of usually it tends to be a lot of just fried food in general. And then on top of that, it's, you add dairy, depending on the person. You add like a high amount of carbs. You add a lot of sugar. Your body's going to break down a lot faster than it's supposed to. So why should you not eat whatever you want? Well, because you're going to regret it. Right? It's the same as many other things. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't enjoy what you eat. And this is where you can't get confused. You have to enjoy what you eat. Like it's a non-negotiable. If you're eating something you hate, you're not going to be able to sustain the lifestyle. It's just impossible.
Definitely.
Like it's a physical impossibility. So you have to be enjoying what you're eating, but you shouldn't necessarily just be eating whatever the heck you want. Especially as you get older, especially as you get more serious about your nutrition, and we'll obviously get into like what that means, what that looks like from a beginner standpoint, and then all the way up to like what like professional bodybuilders, natural and unnatural, would be eating, right? Like depending on what cycle they're in, and again we will go through all that.
Yeah, that's one thing to mention, that maybe you do have to eat something you hate if you're like a high level bodybuilder, but those people have the discipline to just power through whatever they need to eat, and most of them enjoy all their meals anyway.
Well, I've seen them force feed, and it's suffering, man. But like you said, that's a big.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why it's an expert level. Like this is high discipline. These are high discipline. Actually, likely there's maybe some more expenses to these things. Like these are people who take their nutrition to the utmost seriousness.
Mm-hmm.
Like these are people they're experts, right? They don't mess around. They stick to a lifestyle when they choose to do that. They don't do diets. They don't do fad bull crap. Like they actually like stick to a real lifestyle. But again, we're not there yet. So we just want to. That's how we describe that's how I would describe an expert, like an eater, let's say.
Yeah, expert eaters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but most people probably just want to be healthy, and that means functioning at a level that they're happy with, and they want their meals to be satisfying, and they want to get enough energy and get enough nutrition out of everything they eat. They don't want to feel sick. That should be everybody's goal.
And I just want to quantify that statement. You are what you eat.
Mm-hmm.
What does that even mean? You might have heard people say before, they don't really describe why it is what it is, but essentially, think about it like this. A lion eats very high fat and very high protein content diets. So he will be all muscle and all cyno. He'll have very little amount of excess fat, let's say, and excess, unnecessary weight, right? All the weight he has is essentially would be from lean, like contractile muscle tissue. They're very low in fat. So that's one thing. And then if you look at someone else, mainly plant eaters, and this is absolutely vegan slander. I don't want you to get it the wrong way. This is vegan slander. I am absolutely slandering vegans right now.
Based.
Grass eaters are usually maybe more, they're a lot skinnier, right? Or very fat. There's usually not as much in between prey animals. They're very lean. Like you got like zebras, you got like gazelles, you have like squirrels, stuff like that. They're very lean. They mainly eat plants. They mainly eat vegetables. Actually, squirrels eat nuts, so they're a little bit in between. They have a bit more fat on them, but they're weak. It's that simple. Animals that eat only vegetables, chances are they're very weak. Mind you, not pandas and rhinos, but again, those are massive animals with a high fat content. Very high fat content. Same as elephants, right? Like they're just huge. That's their defense mechanism, is being so damn big. They move slow. They have really they're not that agile, and then the smaller vegetarian animals or what do I say, herbivore, right? That's what you call it formally in science. Herbivores are, like I said, again, they're very big and fat, essentially, like hippos. Actually, hippos eat some sort of meat, so I won't say hippos yet. I do believe they actually do eat some sort of meat. I'm not 100% sure about that. Someone's going to have to fact check me on that. But
I think they will eat people, but yeah.
yeah, but I don't know if they enjoy them. I mean, it's not a regular part of their diet, I would hope.
No.
But
one thing, like to touch on, talking about these animals, is consider what the animals do all day. Mm-hmm. These giant herbivores, they literally just have to sit and eat grass all day. Like that's what a cow does. It just eats.
Yeah, that's a ruminant. Yeah,
because it doesn't get concentrated energy. It just gets a ton of grass and then it condenses that into meat on its body.
Yeah,
but the carnivore gets a lot of energy per meal, a lot more energy per meal, because it's eating meat, which is a high condense of energy.
Yeah, like a lion's got to eat one meal a day. It'll be a big meal, but it eats one meal a day. The cow's eating like literally all day. Yeah. Like the elephants eat literally as they're walking or they're grazing, right? They're eating all day, right? Especially it's like volume eating, which is like, why would you, as a human being who has shit to do, what are you going to do? Graze all day? Like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Just sit down and eat grasses all day? No. That's not what we're made to do. We're not built like prey. No. Mind you, it may seem like that, but we are not built like prey at all. We have very functional arms and legs. Although we have weak flesh, the whole idea of like tools is what makes us predators and what makes us the apex predator, I would argue.
Yeah. No, we definitely are.
We can build the sharp claws of a lion. We can build the sharp teeth of a lion. We can have the endurance. We can build a gun. We can have the endurance of a gazelle, right? We can actually outpace gazelles. That's how they actually hunt in these
endurance
tribes.
Endurance hunting is pretty cool. That's how
pretty common. It's very common. As the oldest form of hunting, I think, is like endurance hunting, essentially, where you just outpace.
Yeah.
Not outpace, but you essentially outlast animals who cannot sweat, which is most animals. I don't think can sweat. They just pant to cool down.
Those animals are basically built for sprints, and humans can long distance run for hours.
Yeah, we totally wreck animals. But yeah, like just just in comparison of like the caloric intake and the density of meat versus the density of vegetation, like pandas have to eat like their body weight in bamboo like every day. It's insane. That's literally
Yeah.
all they do. They are very strong, but they're also very fat. Like they have massive fat content. Same with bears,
Hmm.
but I think even pandas and regular bears do eat more of a hybrid diet. So they're very strong muscles, but they're also very fat. Right? They store a lot of fat, and
Hmm.
their energy expenditure is completely different than that of like a lion or a wolf, who would be very lean, who would be very high in contractile tissue with a good balance of like fat to muscle, mostly muscle though, in terms of like those two components. But yeah,
Yeah.
anyways, you
That's
are
like a
what you eat.
cat. It's just, yeah.
So if you're gonna eat a lot of meat and fats, and like good healthy animal fats, those fats are going to sustain you, and that the meat, the protein, those nutrients, that's going to help you with recovery and growth, right? And you won't grow as much, but you'll have exactly what you need, and it'll be a better quality of muscle, right? They'll have less intravenular fat, which is, you know what, the intravenous, yeah,
Yeah.
intravascular, I think it is. Sorry, but you know the marbling on a cow.
Mm,
Basically, that's what that is. That's
yeah. Fat in between the
intravenous.
muscle fibers.
Yeah,
Yeah. I know what you're
yeah,
talking about.
that's exactly what it is. So you want to be lean. You want to be like um like a grazing cow. You don't want to be like a wagyu. They taste great,
No.
but you don't
Oh,
want to be one.
delicious.
They're
You should eat
delicious.
them.
You
But
should
yeah.
eat them, but again, it's not. You're not going to eat that and expect to. Actually, it's funny. You don't want to be the wagyu, but if you ate the wagyu, you wouldn't be the wagyu. So I think
So maybe.
maybe there's a flaw in this. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll definitely sort that out a little bit because that's keto essentially. But anyways, bad for the cow, good
No,
for the
the
human.
whole point is
Whatever.
don't sit and eat grass all day. That's not good
Yeah,
for you.
yeah. It's cringe. It's just cringe. It's just very
Yeah,
cringe.
just it's cringe.
Also, you're a man. You should like hunt at least once in your life. You should know where your
Yeah.
food comes from. You should know what it's like to actually uh eat an animal that you killed and like actually kill an animal, because like what, you think it just sits on your table? You think it just comes and sits on your table? Like, no, man, come on.
Mm,
You got to grow up a little bit and be like, and have some appreciation for it too, right?
yeah, that's true. You should be an aristocratic herdsman, and you should have your own herd, and you
Hurts.
should choose an animal to slaughter every harvest, and you should cut the throat yourself and prepare
I
that
don't think that's
meal.
how it's done anymore. They have those little machines. They have this.
Yeah.
Okay, have you seen the movie No Country for Old Men?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with Javier Bardem.
The
The,
cattle. What's it
yeah,
called?
the cattle. I forget what it's called, but literally, it's like a air
Yeah.
pressurized like uh, it's like an air pressurized
Yeah. It's a
tube.
pneumatic piston, and it just.
Yeah, and you press a button and the air is super pressurized and it basically launches out a little tube, almost like a firing pin, and then it just boom, insta kills a
Yeah.
cow if you hold
And they
it to
can't
like
figure
their
out why is
temple.
there. They think it's a gunshot, but it's yeah.
No, it's very quiet.
I know, but when they see the wound that the cops in that
Oh
movie, they're
yes,
like,
yes, yes,
why
yes.
is there no exit wound and no bullet? Like,
Because it's not a, yeah, it wasn't a gunshot, but yeah, it's very. That's actually how they kill cows. Okay, we're getting way off track, dude. Let's reel it in.
it's a good movie though.
Yeah, it is a good
All
movie.
right,
I
so we
actually
were
highly
at like
recommend it.
we were at
You
just getting into
yes,
beginner level nutritional information,
yeah,
starting with like calories in versus calories out.
yeah. So what does that mean? What the hell does that mean for a beginner? How does your body maintain its weight? How does your body gain weight and how does your body lose weight? The one principle, which is constant regardless of your level of nutrition knowledge, is calories in versus calories out. So if you're maintaining weight, you're burning essentially exactly the amount of calories that you eat every day, and vice versa. The amount of calories you eat every day, you're burning every day. So if I burn 2,000 calories a day, I'm eating 2,000 calories a day. I will not gain weight or lose weight unless there's something wrong with me. We're not going to get into any diseases or anything because If you're eating 2,000 calories a day and you're supposed to be burning 2,000 calories a day, and you're like gaining an excess amount of weight, you have to check your metabolics, because your metabolic system
Mhm.
essentially regulates the calories burned and like the way calories are burned in your body. So you have to really, if you have problems with your metabolic health, you should definitely go to like a doctor, like an expert nutritionist. But we're assuming now you have a regular metabolic system. If you eat exact amount of calories that you burn every day, you're going to maintain your weight. If you eat slightly less or any amount less than the calories you burn every day, you will very likely be in a calorie deficit, which means you're going to lose weight. And obviously,
Because it's the calories that are being burned is from your own fat stores.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes your muscle stores as well if you're not balancing that. But again, we will get into that. We will get into the what diets prevent stuff like that from happening. And then obviously, to gain weight, you'll be eating more calories than your body burns. So if you eat 2,000 calories, you eat maybe 2,200, 2,300, 2,500, maybe 3,000. Depends. It depends what you want. So, and we'll get into what that means. And now, what three categories of nutrients are these calories made up from? And these are called macronutrients. These are the big three. These are what you hear about whenever someone talks about protein, fat, carbohydrates. It's just very simple macronutrients. We're not going to get into very detailed micronutrients or like BCAAs and stuff like that, like specific types of proteins. We're just gonna stick to the macronutrient level for now. Macronutrients: protein, carbohydrates, fat. What does protein do?
Builds muscle.
Builds muscle, yes. So protein essentially assists in the repair and recovery of muscle. That's the stuff that's going to, keep your body growing, keep your body together, and keep it healthy. It keeps things moving essentially. It's the main rebuilding macronutrient. That's what builds you up. Carbohydrates do not build you up. They get burned for energy.
Yeah.
So as,
Right
as I
away.
say that, what is a carbohydrate?
Any type of well, there's different levels, right? You could have the simplest ones, which is just sugar. Then you
Mhm.
got other things like fibrous carbohydrates, which take longer to digest and longer to burn. So that's different levels of energy right there. And the speed at which you get that energy is going to be different. So obviously, a candy bars, you're going to feel that faster than broccoli.
Hence a sugar rush,
Yeah.
right? So to break it down simply, carbohydrates are essentially sugars, types of sugars that your body will use your body will use as essentially fuel for to burn as fuel for energy. So if
Hmm.
your body's
It
a
goes right into your bloodstream after you eat it, right? And then it's
mhm,
distributed to your cells and used up right away.
yeah,
Unless you eat too much, then it's the excess is
stored,
stored.
yeah, as fat usually, and that's a relatively slow process, but it's a process nonetheless. And then the final one is fat. Now, what does the fat do for a person? Now, this is
Makes
a
you
very
fat.
interesting topic, but okay, yeah, obviously it
I'm
makes you
kidding
fat
about
if you're
that.
eating in excess. Yeah, and it depends the type of fat and what your diet's like. Fat doesn't necessarily make you fat. Caloric excess makes you fat. Having too much fat can make you unhealthy, but that's a whole nother. I'm not getting into that right now.
If you just ate protein and carbs, then you would still starve.
Yeah, you need fats. So fats, actually, they do a lot of things in the body that people don't really know about. So fats
Yeah.
assist in the lubrication of joints. Fats assist, obviously, in insulating the body against temperature and temperature regulation, which is why I'm not sure, but I think women, because they tend to store more fat, they're actually better at regulating body temperature than men.
Hmm.
Although they
Usually
complain
women
about
are
it 10
complaining about
times as
being cold
much.
all the time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to add. Yes, they do store more body fat on average, yet they complain about being cold way more than men do. But anyway, that's besides the point. Um, yeah, fat essentially assists with regulating temperature. It assists in lubricating joints. It assists in keeping your brain. I think it does assist in keeping your brain like
Yeah.
the fatty tissues from like being maintained and again, keeping that moisture in,
Your
like a lot
brain
of
is
stuff.
mostly made of fat, I
Yeah, it
believe.
is. It is mostly fat, right? And just eating more fat does not make your brain bigger. That's don't think that's what we're saying, but it can help maintain the quality of your brain tissue, I think, because it
Yeah,
keeps it
that's true.
lubricated, right? If you had, like we said, if you had no fat, you would literally essentially starve. Like if you only ate rabbit per se, you would starve.
Hmm.
You would
Yeah, you hear
actually
about
starve.
that survival. I read a lot of survival books, and in those they say if you were only eating rabbit because it's so lean, you would die eventually. You would still starve because the fat. A lot another thing fat does in the body and the bodies of animals is it stores vitamins and hormones.
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
So
Storing and
if you're eating
transferring of
fat,
vitamins.
you're getting vitamins from the animals. And hormone regulation is such a huge thing for overall health that people don't think about
Hmm. I think that's a little too
for
detailed,
whatever
though.
reason.
Maybe a little too
To
detailed for
Could be, yeah, we'll
beginners.
get into that.
We'll get into that, but
But it is
part of your
important
hormone
to
regulation,
eat fat.
and that's why being obese can actually make you depressed,
Yeah.
because it has to do with inflammation and hormone. Like your body, you're overproducing or underproducing hormones because it has to regulate essentially your body weight. It's attempting to regulate your body weight because you're not doing it. But
Hmm.
this is way past beginner. Anyways, as a beginner, the three things you need to worry about: calories in, calories out. Do you want to lose weight? Count your calories. There's great apps for this. We will link them for sure in the notes, like MyFitnessPal. I know there's a
Yeah.
couple others. I think the actual like Apple Fitness app can do that for you. Um, but anyways, there's a lot of apps to do that. Count your calories, and you know this is how you experiment, and this is very rough. Is if you I think multiply your body weight by about 12, and that's the amount of calories you need per day. Again, it's a very rough estimate, and
Mm.
you should, to learn about how many calories you're actually burning every week, you should actually experiment. And essentially, for 1 week, regardless if you're gaining or losing weight, especially if you're maintaining weight, this will be the perfect thing for you. Just simply track your calories for 1 week and see about how much you eat every day. And if you're not gaining or losing any weight, that's why your maintenance calories. So that's the amount of calories you eat every single day without actually burning, without actually gaining or losing weight. That would
That's a
be
good
called
way
your
to do it.
maintenance. Yeah,
Then it's
just
based
yeah,
on
just
an average over that week.
yeah, exactly. Based on an average over that week, because obviously you eat more or less some days and some other days. But like, let's say you ate on average 1,700 calories per day. That's a little low, I think, for men. For women, that actually may be a little high, but it depends on your height. It depends on your like existing weight. So don't worry about it being high or low. That was just a number, right? Don't number one thing. The number one advice I can give for beginners: calories, although they're important, they're just numbers. They're numbers. So don't freak out about numbers. Don't get obsessed with the numbers, right? Don't get like, oh, I was 50 calories over, I was 100 calories over, oh, I was 50 calories under. Relax, relax. It's okay. You're a beginner. You don't know any of this stuff. That's why you can't be so hard on yourself. You're just starting out. So just please calm down. They're just calories. They're very important, but just know the numbers are just numbers. Don't freak out, and you can always make up for it the next day, right? It's not the end of the world if you're trying to gain weight and you're consistently under eating. Just slowly work your way up. It's not going to happen right away where you can force feed yourself to gain weight, right?
Mm.
Same if you're trying to lose weight. It's not going to happen in a day where you can say, "Oh wow, it's actually hard for me to get to the deficit." That's fine. See what you can do to slowly get to maintain those calories. And that's why I don't like saying diet, because diets come and go, they may change, but a calorie restriction or a calorie surplus, that's going to be like a whole lifestyle change essentially.
Yeah.
And it takes time to know what's right for you, and
I
it takes
think
time to
going
know.
by if you don't want to count calories, I think everyone should do that for a week, like you said, and track it, and then But use that to develop a feeling of, okay, at this meal, I felt really full, and you can
Mhm.
assume you were over calories, and then you trust your instinct, like, do I still feel hungry by the time I go to bed? Then you probably didn't eat your maintenance calories that day.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. And there's also, like, again, this is for people who have who do not have like eating disorders or anything. Because if you have
Yeah,
an
that's
eating
different.
disorder and you eat like 1,100 calories, you might be like, oh, I'm full. Like I ate too much. It's like, no, you have an issue. I don't care if you're a guy or girl. You actually have an issue. Get it fixed. I'm talking about normal people that maybe haven't done any of this stuff before. Just you have to basically come in with no judgment of what's occurring with your body, right? If you're a bit heavier, if you're a bit skinnier, you just have to say, I want to know what I'm eating every week to be at this weight that I am at. And then from there, you can say, I want to gain weight, I want to gain muscle, or I want to lose weight, right? I want to lose fat. Usually you want to lose fat. So
Mm-hmm.
from there, we have calorie counting, we have experimenting with your own calories so you know what is your maintenance. And then from there, if you want to gain weight, I highly recommend just attempting about 100 or 200 calories extra every day. That's all. It's a very low surplus, because I know for people who let's say are like eating 3,000 calories and they cannot gain weight, just take your time with that, because it's going to be tough, right? It's going to be tough for your body and your stomach to get used to like eating
Yeah.
3,100 calories, 3,200 calories. Like you got to really take your time with that. And the same goes for losing weight. You're not going to be going from 2,500 calories a day to 2,000. It's just silly. Start from 2,500, try to go down to maybe 2,350 if you want to be aggressive, right? And this is not including exercise you already do. This is not including it. This is with very little or everyday regular activity for your everyday. So let's say you walk a little bit every day. That's fine. That's what you want to work with. If you're
Mm-hmm.
increasing activity, do not change the food intake. Eat the same you're eating, especially if you want to lose weight. If you want to lose weight and you say, I'm gonna start exercising, don't change your diet. Do not change your diet. If you have not exercised and you want to gain and you want to lose weight, do not change your diet whatsoever. Just count the calories you would have burned during exercise,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
then let that do the work for you.
it's another thing to think about if you want to lose, but you're not necessarily wanting to. Maybe you're only a couple hundred calories over. You could easily increase your activity level
Yeah,
and
half an hour
drop
on the
down.
treadmill or half an hour walk outside would more than account for those 200 or 300 calories every
Mm-hmm.
day. And if you couple that with like actually strength training, you're probably going to be burning like 400, 500 calories. You probably can be eating the same and you'll lose weight while maintaining muscle, which is very nice. For those who are trying to gain weight, I would actually recommend, especially if you eat a lot already and you're a younger guy, like I know a lot of young teenage guys, they can burn calories like animals. I used to have a lot of friends that were hard gainers, right? They would eat 3,000 calories a day, and then they would just, never be able to gain weight, but they would eat so much and they just like barely gain any weight like every week. And I think about 0.5 to like about 1 pound per week is could be potentially reasonable depending on what you want to be doing. But 0.5 pounds per week is pretty good, I would say. It's not going to be
Mm-hmm.
all muscle though. So this is just pure bulking. And I think this brings us into more intermediate levels of
Yeah, we can get into that
nutrition
now.
combinations with fitness is bulking and cutting. So the process of gaining weight, which would be called in like the fitness industry, is called bulking, where essentially you are putting on mass, pure mass, which can be fat and or muscle, in order to increase overall muscle growth. But you will be putting on fat as well.
Yeah, inevitably, because it's part of the
Inevitably,
same metabolic processes.
yes, because since your body has an excess of calories, it's going to store. It's going to say, "Oh, our muscles can afford to grow larger in size, so we'll do that." But as well, we need to store more fat because we're getting so much extra weight as it is. We're getting so much extra calories as it is. So we're going to build
Which
the
is,
muscle, and then whatever the muscle is going to max out. Like you can only build so much contractile tissue, aka muscle. You can only gain so much, and then your body will store the extra calories as fat, and that's okay. Like that's what the bulking process is all about, especially for people who are very lean. That's what the bulking process is all about. Now the cutting process is different. the cutting process is a bit more difficult, I will say, than bulking, because with cutting, you want to be at less of a deficit than you were at a surplus. And that's why cutting can take a lot longer in order for it to be done correctly.
Mm.
Right? So like if I bulk
You
for
don't want
like
to lose too much muscle in the
exactly,
process.
like if I bulk for like six weeks, I'll cut for 12 or like
Mm.
8. Like 8 to 12 essentially, because I want to maintain the muscle that I gained from the bulk while removing the fat. So what does that mean? That means you have to get to a very specific caloric deficit where you're not losing too much size overall, but you are maintaining your physique essentially underneath all the fat, and then eventually the fat just goes away. That's what you're trying to do on a cut, really. And that's going to be a bit more intermediate level. That's going to be like when you've probably at least done a couple, like you just started working out, you've been focusing on your nutrition for like a few months now, and you can probably change to, okay, I'm going to, I actually want to put on mass. I want to put on muscle mass, like a lot of muscle mass. So what you have to do, there's a lot of things you have to do. You have to likely decrease cardiovascular activity, right? On a bulk. You have to decrease cardiovascular activity if you did a lot of it. Like if you're a runner, if you're like a teenager who plays a lot of sports, you do not do essentially any running outside of the sport that you already do, right? You keep running for like 3 times a
basically
week.
cause you to lose tons of fat and muscle at the same time.
Yeah, because your body wants to become efficient while it's doing it, right?
You ever see like top runners? They're always like their legs look like sticks.
Yeah,
their arms
marathon
and
runners
legs
are
are
gross.
so thin.
Sprinters look phenomenal, but marathon runners look horrible, right? So, although it
No
helps us in the
offense.
yeah, I know they know what they look like. Don't you know if like trust me, they know what they look like. They look whatever. It's good. It's good. It's decent for longevity, but you need balance in life, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's why like you need a bulk, you need a cut, you need to do what you want. Everything's dependent on your goals, right? And that's dependent on what you want out of your existence, essentially.
Yeah. So what about force feeding? Something we
So
wouldn't
now force
necessarily
feeding,
recommend to a beginner, but
no.
why would you need to force feed
So force
yourself?
feeding is for those guys I was talking about who are hard gainers, right? They can do a massive caloric surplus, and they get full, like they're very full. So they need high density foods, right? So the carbohydrates are very popular in a bulk because they're like you can eat so much of them and you don't really
True.
feel as full, but there's a lot of calories in it, right? Like with meat, there's actually like meat actually tends to be pretty good on calories, right? Because there's a balance between fat and protein. They actually tend to be very good on calories.
What's the breakdown? One gram of protein is 4 calories. 1 gram of carbs is 4 calories, and if fat is 9.
I honestly forget.
I
I
believe
think it's
that's
a bit
correct.
more. I think it's a bit more for carbs.
I thought it was the same, but either way, you can break it down by that.
Yeah, we're
If
essentially like
we're talking about just tracking your macros, you just weigh all your food. That's what a lot of bodybuilders follow.
Yeah, well, my MyFitnessPal is great because it usually like you could put in the brand of the food that you ate, and it would tell you, and then the measurement obviously like one slice. Let's say the cold cut, one slice is like I don't know 25 grams, but it'll have that measurement already on the app, or you can input it yourself, and like it'll basically tell you like the macros for that serving size, which is very nice. Like a slice of bread, like I don't know how many grams a slice of bread is, but if I go on the like the packaging for the brand of like a English bread, essentially, I can say like, oh, this one slice was like 28 grams, therefore 28 grams of bread. I had 2 slices. I have like, I have to do math right now. 46 grams. Is it 46 or 56? 56 grams. Like that's how many grams of bread I'm eating, and then the calories for that would be whatever the calories obviously were for 56 grams, right? Or one slice or 2 slices of bread. Like those are usually stated. It makes it a lot easier, especially using those apps. And I feel like I'm getting to the weeds too much of this. Force feeding essentially is eating more than you want to eat.
Yeah.
Eating more than you want to eat so you can get massive. And
Being full and just eating more anyway.
this is when you're getting into bodybuilding level, because you're saying, and I know it's intermediate, but it's like amateur bodybuilding is like, I need to get bigger, so I'm literally gonna eat until I get sick, until my stomach, like, I can't move almost. And people have like thrown up from force feeding, and guess what? The pros, if they throw up from force feeding, guess what they do? They eat
Eat
again.
more.
They eat again. These people are insane, bro, but you're not there. That's okay. You don't have that discipline, and that's fine. You don't need that. That's for crazy people. I'm telling you right now, those people are not sane. They're not normal. All right, they are
No.
insane. This is their life. They dedicate themselves to this. Don't feel bad if you can't force feed like a bodybuilder force feeds. You're an amateur.
Go watch Brian Shaw, Full Day of Eating video on YouTube.
Brian Shaw, Rich Piana, Jay Cutler. Go watch Jay Cutler. He would talk about how he was sick. He hated the taste of the food. Half of it was bland because they every calorie is counted with those guys. So half of the food was like bland. It was like boring. It was like oats and blueberries. He would eat oats, blueberries, and like chicken, like all blended up, right? So it was easier to literally, so he could like almost easier to consume, right? He didn't have to chew it as much.
Drink a lot of calories.
Yeah, and they drink a lot of calories with mass gainers, a lot of artificial stuff, right? That's why I don't like, the way we talk about it, I want you guys eating healthy stuff. I don't like the mass gainer stuff. That's like, those may be putting a strain on your body that's unnecessary, right? Like all these excess like proteins. I know the protein's not as bad, like not artificial, but like, let's say like whey protein or like pea protein. It's not as bad as like, mass gainers, because you don't know what's in a mass gainer. It's carbohydrates.
Yeah, mass gainers.
A lot of it's sugar, which is gross.
Definitely.
It's unnecessary sugar, which I really don't like. And sugar is not a macro. So I know carbohydrates are like sugars in their own way, but like, you don't want to be going excess in sugar, because then you're just going to get diabetes. Right.
True.
So, be cognizant of that for sure. In terms of your macros, like, that's why like knowing what you're eating is very important, right? So getting into force feeding, what types of meals are you going to eat? You're probably going to eat high carbohydrate meals, high carbohydrate, high protein, low fat, right? Because you don't need as much. You'll have fats in the carbohydrates. You'll have fats in the protein that you eat.
You'll cook with it.
Yeah, you'll cook with a lot of fats. And like butter, you'll cooking with olive oil is good. Staying away from those seed oils is nice, just for your body, just for like the general health of your body.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
We will definitely get into that. And then for someone who's trying to lose weight, very likely they're going to have a bit more of and this is where we'll actually get into the expert levels. They may start fasting. They may just eat whatever they want and maybe do like a day fast, or like a half-day fast called intermittent fasting, where essentially you have a window of eating from like 2 p.m. to like 8 p.m., which is about 6 hours. I think that's like an average intermittent fasting. Some people have 8-hour windows. Some people have 2-hour windows, right? They're basically OMAD, which is like one meal a day. And again, this is like expert level eaters. Like, people have been experimenting with their bodies. They know what works for them. I've tried. Intermittent fasting works very well for me. I've gotten used to not eating breakfast, but eating like a decent sized lunch and a decent sized dinner, which is about a 6-hour window for me. And I just got used to that, right? So I'm used to not eating breakfast anymore. Whereas in high school, I would eat breakfast all the time. And then that kind of changed for me. I started not getting as hungry as breakfast. So my body, that's what it wanted, right? So I kind of let it happen.
Nice.
And then you'll have OMAD, which is one meal a day, which is essentially exactly as it sounds. You eat one single meal a day. Some people choose to eat it at lunch. Some people choose to eat it at dinner. This is like expert level stuff. Like, you probably have to know your body pretty well before you start trying stuff like that. You probably shouldn't try that off the jump, right? And people who do OMAD are very likely also paying attention to what they're eating and their calorie counting. So that's why we put in the expert level, because they're doing all the stuff we've already talked about plus, right? For intermittent fasting, it's very similar. Chances are, intermittent fasting helped me because I was able to not need to count my calories while still maintaining a caloric deficit, which is very helpful, especially if you have problems with overeating.
Yeah, skipping breakfast is pretty doable for a lot of people. Like, just thinking about one meal and dropping that off. So yeah, if you want to start with fasting, I would recommend looking
Yeah,
into
intermittent
intermittent
fasting, and
fasting.
with an 8 hour window from like 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's a
Yeah,
very
that's
nice
perfect.
window. It's a very nice beginner window, and then you can slowly bring that from like 2 to 8 or 12 to 6, depending on what times you normally eat at. And right, make sure it works with your schedule, right? If you're gonna attempt any of this stuff, um, and then again, you can do like intermittent fasting and keto. I heard a lot of people they do intermittent fasting already, and they go, okay, I'm gonna go keto as well, and keto is phenomenal. Keto is phenomenal for
Mm.
people who are trying to stay lean muscularly while also maintaining a relatively low body fat, which is arguably everyone should essentially, if you're not a bodybuilder who's trying to get as big as possible, you should essentially be trying to do this type of diet, this type of, yeah, should have this type of eating lifestyle where you essentially are doing high fats, which means your body is burning fat, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's burning fat as energy, and that's exactly what this is doing. You burn fat as energy rather than burning carbohydrates. So this is going to prevent a lot of problems down the road. It prevents one big thing this does for a lot of people. It helps with autoimmune disorders. So if you've heard of Jordan Peterson, who literally only eats like lamb, right? It's a perfect
Yeah,
balance of like, I think like 65% protein and like 35% fat around there. I think it's like 70-30 or like 65-35 around there, like percentage macros, and very essentially like negligible carbohydrates. um, that's like expert level. That takes a lot of discipline, and he has an
yeah,
autoimmune disorder, which means it's actually necessary for him to do. You probably don't have to do that because that's very difficult, I would assume, right? And like you
yeah,
said at the beginning, you have to be enjoying what you're eating, right? Especially if you're a beginner. Like again, you're not a pro, you're not a bodybuilder, you don't have to force feed, you don't have to do all this crazy stuff. Like enjoy what you're eating. Just eat a bit less. Like in the beginning, enjoy what you're eating. Just maybe have a bit less if you're trying to lose weight, maybe have a bit more if you're trying to gain weight. Like it's that simple, right? In the
yeah,
beginning. If you're starting to work out and you're counting calories, well, that's actually quite a big difference. That's why I say doing your maintenance calories, just do 1 week of what you normally do. So let's say you already worked out like 3 times a week. Count, that's fine. Don't count those workouts as like calories. Just simply track the calories that you're intaking every day, and then average that out, and that's like, okay, this is my maintenance calories. And then if you increase activity in order to lose weight, then obviously you'll start counting those extra exercises. But the best thing is like if you're a beginner, you have a clean slate. You haven't really worked out that much. You kind of just maybe go on a couple walks a week. You can see your maintenance calories really, really well. You can see where your metabolic rate is at in terms of maintenance, which is amazing, right? Like I have no idea at this point. I have to re-experiment because my activity is
mm,
too sporadic, right? So I need to be a bit more consistent with my activity in order to actually get a maintenance calorie readout for myself. But if you don't do any exercise, like it actually may even be easier for you to figure out your maintenance calories, and then from there you can just say, oh, instead of having like one sandwich, I'm gonna have like maybe a sandwich and a half. If you want to gain weight, right? If you want to lose weight, you go, okay, maybe I'll have one sandwich, and instead of having like a snack as well as a sandwich, I'll just have the sandwich,
yeah,
right? So you can change, like it's small incremental changes, right? It's not this big massive thing. Like I've been into fitness and nutrition for like literally since high school, which is like maybe almost 10 years now. Um, so I think for you, it's you start a bit later, and it's a bit different.
yeah. I've been into it for what, like probably 4 years now.
Yeah, which is pretty
Where
long,
like
and
I slowly got in more and more hardcore to the point where like now, like I just said to my parents the other day, I'm like, I guess I kind of am a health nut the way I just obsess over this stuff a little bit. And they're like,
yeah, which
yeah,
may
you're
not be
just
the
a
best thing
nut.
either.
They're like, you're just a nut. Health is one of the many categories.
Ouch,
But
that's rough.
yeah,
That's all right.
I'm almost autistic. Let's just put
Yeah,
it that
almost.
way.
Yeah, let's
One
go.
thing I wanted to mention when you talked about Jordan Peterson, um, a way that people don't often think about, because everyone just goes to, including doctors, just go to pharmaceutical drugs right off the bat.
hmm
But you can actually heal so many things with food and diet,
Yeah,
and actually changing things and eliminating things or eating things that are more making healthier choices. So I'm not saying I know very much about that, but like definitely something you should look into if you're sick and there's not a solution from a doctor or a pharmaceutical
There's
company.
no prescription, right?
Yeah. And even if there
Yeah,
is,
definitely.
but it's not something you want to be on
Or the
because of all
side
the side
effects are too.
effects
Yeah,
or the cost,
yeah.
definitely look into these holistic ways of, healing yourself with food,
hmm
because food is literally medicine.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know what their diet's actually doing to them until they
No.
go to like a nutritionist who can test that stuff, or like they do tests on your gut microbiome, which essentially is saying like, oh, your gut easily breaks down foods and like you're doing just fine, or your gut's like screaming for help because all you eat is like fried crap.
Yeah.
Um, right? So a lot of people don't actually know how healthy or unhealthy they are based on their gut microbiome. So definitely like if you're having stomach problems, maybe go to a nutritionist before you go to a doctor, right? Like you may even like circumvent the problems unless you're like actually eating healthy, and like obviously you know what that would look like is like you're eating a relatively balanced diet, I would say, of like carbohydrates, protein, fats, very little sugar is a pretty healthy
Hmm.
diet, I would say. Like you do a little bit of bread here and there, or like almost every day. You eat vegetables almost every day, and you eat a little bit of meat almost every day. Like it's a pretty balanced diet, I would say. Just a nice whole food diet, and then you don't eat too much
Yeah.
sugar, and you're still having stomach problems. You should probably look into it because it may be something more, or maybe nothing. Right? You should definitely check it out. If you're having stomach problems from a nutritionist before a doctor, because you don't want to start taking medicine for your stomach when you can just heal it literally with food first,
Yeah. You might
potentially.
as well change the environment
Yeah,
and not the instead of just adding something that's not necessarily good for you either.
that also may literally kill your potential to have nutrients. I know for a fact there is certain medicines that essentially kill your gut microbiome, so you cannot digest
True.
food properly. Like, and it's
True.
irreversible.
Antibiotics is literally
Yeah, antibiotics essentially do that a lot of the
will
time.
mess you up.
But like, especially the hardcore antibiotics for like bad diseases, that's why it's so important to try to stay as healthy as possible all the time. That's why it's so important to like not eat whatever you want all the time, right?
Hmm.
And obviously stress. There's other factors, but like food is this beautiful thing where it's in your control. What you put
True.
in your mouth is purely under your control. You can make excuses, but no one's forcing food down your throat. Usually, it's you.
No.
It's you choosing to eat or not eat. So
Yeah,
once you
it's
take
like the
that into
devil. He's gonna
control,
make the bad food so tantalizing and delicious that you want it so bad, but
yeah, of
it's still
course,
you who takes it and puts it in your mouth.
yeah, absolutely.
You gotta stop yourself. Put down that donut.
Put down the donuts, man. Put
Should
down
we
the
get to the
donuts
yeah, put
now.
down the donuts.
But officer, they're so good. But officer, they're
So
bussin'
true.
bussin'.
I used to eat donuts like every day.
Jeez, are you
I used to
serious?
drink I used to drink a Pepsi every day.
Well, I drink a lot of diet Pepsis. Maybe we should talk about those like diet drinks. Like, are they actually bad for you? Are they good for you? They're probably not good for you. Straight up, they're
Definitely
probably
not
not good
good,
for you.
but
But it's
if you
better
want
than
no
I would assume it's better
calories,
than sugar.
yeah.
I'd safely assume it's better than sugar. Than better than the intake of like if you have a pop a day of like diet versus not diet. I guarantee it's better than the sugar content of like an actual pop. So if you're like really addicted to like soda or pop, in Canada we say pop, but not a lot of other places say pop.
Almost, yeah, I don't think anywhere says pop except here.
So soda, cola, a lot of people say, but yeah,
Yeah.
sodas or colas or pops. If you have problems with those, try to switch to the diet first. Like we said, you have to enjoy what you're doing. You try like, and you don't want to make massive changes, right? So changing to diet. If you hate the taste of diet, like I don't know, man, suck it up. Maybe switch to juice first.
I switched to
Like
flavored sparkling water.
yeah,
Like
like
I
that's
about a year ago, and
that's
I
a
never
hard switch
stopped.
though.
I never went back. It was hard, yeah. It was because I was addicted to it.
Yeah, it's definitely hard, right?
100%.
With the sodas,
But it was worth it. Like I feel much better now.
and it's doable. It's for sure doable.
Oh yeah, because I did it. Should we get into the seed oil section of this episode here?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we're past the expert lifestyles. We're past force feeding. We're past keto. We're past the OMAD, intermittent fasting, regular fasting.
Oh, we didn't mention GOMAD.
Oh yeah,
Drink a
GOMAD's
gallon of milk a
crazy.
day.
GOMAD is for hard gainers because like if you drink a gallon of like this is obviously mostly a joke because like if you do this you'll probably throw up. But uh, essentially because there's so many calories in milk, like you will basically gain weight guaranteed, and a lot of it is protein and fats, which is very nice. The
Yeah,
only problem with all that milk is that actually is quite a bit of sugar as well, like
true.
because of the volume of it. So that's why obviously I would not recommend GOMAD unless you're like really desperate, like nothing's working, like you can't gain
Yeah,
weight at
you're like
all.
90 pounds or something. You're a rack of bones. Start doing GOMAD.
Yeah, start doing GOMAD if your stomach can even handle it at that point.
Yeah, obviously don't do it if you're lactose intolerant. That's stupid.
Yeah, and I think from there we can go into our silly little story someone had. So if you're not familiar with green text stories, and you don't have to tell you where that's from, then too damn bad. Just listen and maybe you'll enjoy.
Yeah, there's a quick little anecdote from an anonymous poster. He says, "Be food addicted land whale, 300 pounds. Eat nothing but grotesque processed freezer food available in large quantities. Nuggies, mac and cheese, freezer pizzas, etc. A walking stereotype. Always had IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. But you'd expect that with this diet. Eventually, IBS gets acutely worse to a point where I'm in crippling daily pain and too weak to move or function. My entire gut is in searing pain all the time. Get checked for gut cancer. I'm fine, and the doctor doesn't know why. Start to wonder if I have celiac disease since my symptoms mirror what I've read online. Start elimination diet. Cut out bread and gluten of all kinds. Still in crippling daily pain. Doesn't seem to be gluten. Start eliminating other things from diet. Every possible allergen. Eventually narrow it down to seed oils. Like every kind of seed oil. Sunflower, canola, palm. That shit is literally in everything. Desperately start a seed oil free diet to seek relief. Cook with butter only. Animal fats do not trigger me. Start baking with bread made from home and with butter and not oil. Start Pain slowly subsides as I cut out all the oil from my diet. Cannot eat any processed food anymore due to oil being in everything. It sucks at first, but I quickly learned to not care since the pain of eating things with oil in it is so immediate. Cook more and more meals from scratch. Daily diet is filled with veggies, pan-fried chicken, freshly baked bread, eggs, etc. Rapidly start losing weight. Overall health rapidly improves. Mental health improves. Don't even miss processed food anymore. Store-bought bread tastes like dog shit. My face when my body got so tired of my shit, it forced me into a healthy lifestyle."
Yeah,
So,
don't become that guy
yeah, don't be
because
that
that's too
guy.
late. That's way too late.
It's an interesting anecdote because a lot of people have IBS. It's a very common
Hmm.
thing.
It's too common.
And yeah, way too common. And people
Way
don't
too
know
common.
why. They think it's
Yeah.
like not their fault, even though it is because of bad diet.
Well, they just don't know it.
Um,
That stuff's bad for you. That's actually bad for you. And we're
no,
going to tell
because most
you,
people don't think about what they eat.
and they also don't care, which is like
Yeah, or
also
don't
still their
care.
fault in a sense. It's at
Um,
the end of the day, most stuff is actually up to you. So you should take responsibility for your own shit, especially your own body. That's
True.
absolutely up to you. You should know what food is good and bad for you. Like, although yes, in school they should tell you, right? But at the end of the day, it doesn't change that it's your body, and you need to take control of it. You need to take control of what goes in, what goes out, and what activity that you do every single day. That's
hmm
up to you. I don't care how much schooling you have. You have to take care of yourself at the end of the day, regardless of what they did or did not teach you. If you care about yourself in any way, you will take your nutrition and your health seriously.
Well, that's why you listen to this podcast because we tell you what's true, not in
Yes, you're
school.
already way ahead of the curve, I would say, of the average person who's
Exactly.
likely going to die of some heart-related disease.
Yeah, so basically that's the seed oil pill is you realize that the number one cause of death, which is heart disease, is literally because these seed oils are in all our food. Uh, and specifically fried food, basically anything you can get from a restaurant or fast food chain is dunked and cooked in canola oil.
And reused
And
too.
yeah, it's also reused, which is gross. I used to
So it's
work at a
carcinogens, not only.
and these places used to use beef tallow, which is lard rendered.
McDonald's used to use beef tallow.
Yeah, but
McDonald's.
vegans complained. The vegan lobby shut that down
Is that
because they didn't
serious?
want to eat anything. Oh,
More vegan
that's real.
slander. More vegan
Yeah,
slander. Vegans
it's
literally
real.
ruined everything. They ruined
Vegans
fast
have
food.
blood on their hands because so many people have died from cardiac problems because of that one change to canola oil instead
Well,
of
I
beef
wouldn't. I
tallow.
wouldn't blame the vegans for that because again, that is people's individual responsibility.
Allegedly,
But
I'm not accusing anybody of killing anyone else,
no, of course not.
but that is a thing that happened.
Vegans by far kill the most animals, though, and that's
True.
that's facts.
That's true. We could get into that.
We could get
But this
into
is about
that.
nutrition,
Farming.
so
This is about nutrition. Vegan slander will never stop. I don't care. I actually don't care. Vegans are.
I feel like you're
cringe
actually
as
more
hell,
popular
bro.
if you slander vegans because everybody hates vegans.
I think everyone does hate vegans. I think more people are becoming vegan, but even vegan people have told me like they hate vegans. So,
Yeah.
I will slander the vegans because the vegans who are cool, no, I'm not talking about them. The vegans who are like, yeah, I just don't want to eat meat. I'm like, that's chill, bro. That's actually totally chill. I don't like that. I think that's stupid, but that's chill. Like, it's chill. They're like, oh my God, you're literally killing the planet? Yeah, you're a fucking loser, dude. Leave me alone. Leave me the hell alone, bro. But
yeah, so basically,
anyways.
seed oils and their consequences have been a disaster for the human race.
So true.
That's my thesis.
Yeah. It's literally industrial lubricant, by the way.
It was
you
invented
can put it
to
in
be
a car.
Yeah. If you
run
can't
car
run your
with
car, you can't run your car on butter.
Or beef tallow. I don't think so.
No.
It would go bad because it's food and food's supposed to go bad. Not like oil, which essentially literally lasts like forever. And think about it like this. People used to not eat gum because they thought they couldn't digest it, right?
Yeah.
How much seed oil are you consuming every single day?
A lot.
That basically doesn't go bad. You think your body can just digest that? And also, it's always contained in plastic most of the time. The olive oil I get is in glass and metal all the time. But seed oils, always, always, always in plastic. Usually.
So that's an important point. People say like, oh, well, what's the difference between canola oil and olive oil? Because it's the same thing. They just crush the seed. But it's not even true. Olive oil is more like orange juice. Like it's just you squeeze the olives and you get olive oil. You squeeze an orange, you get orange juice. Canola oil, I will link the video to how it's made, where they show you how they make it, and they tell you exactly how it's done. Except at the beginning, the Heart Health Association says canola oil is better for you because there's less saturated fat, which is false. It's not better for you.
No.
It causes a lot of problems, including inflammation.
I think saturated fat isn't the bad one. It's trans fat. Which it's the bad one.
So I'm not an expert in this, but I believe the unsaturated fats are like butter and animal fats. That's better for you.
Yeah.
In the long run.
We can just do a quick
back to the point of
search.
Yeah. You should definitely. This is a whole rabbit hole. Like we can't get into enough of it. But
yeah, we should.
I just want to introduce people. Introduce people to like this is something you do need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
In 20, 30 years, I believe it's gonna be a big thing. It's gonna flip, and there's gonna be restaurants to say we use beef tallow again and all this stuff because
I don't think 20, 30 years. I think within 10, dude.
probably,
Think about
yeah,
like smoking, man.
eventually
Smoking
it'll
is
be
like so bad for
mainstream.
people. How long did smoking last? Like 40 years, maybe 50 years?
I'm not
Actually,
sure.
probably way longer. Never mind, way longer.
Smoking's actually good for you, by the way, but
It actually went full circle. Where like, oh yeah, smoking's good for you.
okay, what
Unironically
was I
though, like
saying?
for low testosterone individuals, smoking is better for you because arguably
It
producing more
is.
testosterone is better
Well,
than the
yeah,
damage
because
that smoking
testosterone
would
has
do for
so
you.
much positive effects.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, but let's
Yeah,
continue with the seed oils and the
yeah.
heart association. By the
I
way,
will
who
do an
funds the heart
episode on
association?
smoking.
Who funds the heart association? I
Yeah,
wonder.
let's
I
look
wonder
into
what
that.
I wonder what oil companies fund the heart and health association. Anyways,
Yeah, so the process of making canola oil, they do crush the seeds, but the oil that um, they get this cake from the rest of the seeds, and the cake has to be washed out with solvents. And solvents is like brake cleaner. Like these are these things, if you smell them, they will destroy your brain. It's
yeah,
very
paint
bad for
thinner,
you.
brake
Yeah, things
cleaner,
like that.
like
Chemicals.
like chemicals that essentially degrade, like acidic chemicals that degrade
Yeah,
things.
like they wash oil.
They also
So
degrade your brain.
that cleans out um, the seeds, the seed cake, and after that the oil is bleached just to make it a lighter color, just because
Ew.
literally they want it to look more like olive oil. That's basically the reason. So you're having bleach introduced. You have solvents, bleach, two things which if you drank them would kill you.
Literally.
And on top of that, it has to be steam cleaned at the end because it actually has a horrible odor. Like
Ew.
you wouldn't be able to stand it if you were in this factory.
And we're talking about the cake still, or are we talking about the oil itself?
No, so the cake is washed with solvents to get all the oil out of it, and then you just have the oil bleached to look lighter, and then
Wow.
steam cleaned to get rid of the smell.
Wow. That's
Compared to,
disgusting.
like I said before, olive oil is just pressed and extracted, which is what they've been doing for thousands of years. They just crush the olives and then squeeze them through burlap, basically, to get the. It is more like juice. You should think of olive oil like juice.
Yeah, it's just filtered juice essentially,
Mm-hmm.
and boil. I think it's boiled down as well, right? Because there's probably some liquid in
Yeah,
there.
so there's different grades of olive oil. Extra virgin is obviously the purest grade. That is just like freshly squeezed.
Hell
And then
yeah.
if it just says olive oil on the bottle, that means it was processed at like different levels of heat, which kind of breaks down the oil, destroys some of the nutrients. So you do
Yeah,
want
you
to be
want that
buying extra
extra
virgin,
virgin. Yeah. Me and
just
my
so you
boys
know.
on my way to drink that extra virgin olive oil. To steal the extra virgin olive oil from Walmart. It's a big deal. It's actually a big deal. Definitely to use like extra virgin olive oil, stuff like that, to mitigate. And like if you even are gonna fry foods, right? Because like frying itself is so. We could get into
It's
like raw
extra.
foods and stuff, but like vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
you should eat vegetables raw and like arguably unwashed, depending on the source. Because like you get
I
all
would
your
counter that.
nutrients.
I think you should cook vegetables.
Why?
For thyroid reasons.
What does that mean?
Vegetables are easier to digest cooked. All foods easier to digest cooked. I mean, I know there is like people that just go full raw.
I want to go full raw
Um,
eventually.
I
I
do
think
want
it'd
to
be
try
cool.
it. I will try it eventually, but from what I've experimented now, I do find I feel better with cooked vegetables.
Yeah, do what you need to do. Obviously, do what you need to do. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's there's the recommended, and then there's I need to adjust based on the way my body digests things, and that's why it's usually it's nice to start with whole foods and then adjust into what your body can break down the best out of all foods. in terms of like actual nutrition advice. I think our advice is more related to like in terms of with exercising as well, but obviously seed oils is just general thing for your health that you should avoid, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure people are aware of it. And I'll just list some of the effects on your body.
Absolutely.
So basically, IBS, which is bad digestion, it's because of inflammation in your gut. So seed oils cause inflammation, not only in your gut, but all of your body. And the gut being messed up, as we've already touched on, causes a whole host of other problems, and including hormonal imbalances, which is a whole other thing, which greatly affects your health. Having your hormones out of whack, like you said, if you're obese, you can get depressed because of that hormone imbalance. So, yeah, focusing on making your gut healthier is one way to wholly improve your overall health.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think that's a great way to end the show.
Mm-hmm. So I just want to list off, you should be avoiding, like when you read ingredients on things, avoid canola oil, rapeseed oil, literally called rapeseed oil, sunflower
what
oil.
Seed oil?
Rapeseed oil. Maybe it's rapeseed. I don't know how it's pronounced.
Oh, I tried rapeseed, dude. Oops. Whatever. Rapeseed
Anyways,
oil.
sunflower oil.
Seed oil? Well, seed oil sucks, so like, I mean.
Yeah, it's so bad. Soybean oil, that should be an obvious one.
Yeah, avoid soy and everything. That's not even. We really have to mention that.
Yeah, we don't even have to mention it because it's such a.
If you drink or eat soy and you're not a woman, stop listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
No cap. I don't care if we lose 100 viewers.
No cap.
Stop. If you're a soy boy, stop. This isn't for you.
This is not
for you.
This is not a safe space for soy boys.
This is not a safe space for soy boys. If you're a recovering soy boy, you're welcome. Please stay.
Yeah.
We want to bring you out of that hell that you were living in. If you're a recovering vegan, yes, stay. Please enjoy. Right? But anyone else? Nah. You can leave. You can leave. We don't want you here.
Yeah. And then some alternatives to those nefarious oils. Butter, obviously. Beef tallow or lard. Coconut oil is good. Avocado oil is good. Olive oil is good. But make sure you get extra virgin. Mm-hmm. And ghee,
and in glass or in metal, preferably.
Yeah, that's like a whole other thing. Don't let your food touch plastic.
Yeah, at least as little plastic as possible.
Mm-hmm. And no nonstick pans. Please don't use nonstick pans.
Yeah,
anyways,
those are like so popular. It's so hard not to. Every single.
It is like that's why we're in such a problem here.
I know there's like you can get like copper pans. I know you can get like obviously cast iron.
I use stainless steel.
Stainless steel. Oh yeah, stainless steel is great.
Mm-hmm.
But those are some other option that you can get. Like I think there's like brass as well potentially, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, cast iron and stainless steel will be the most popular, I believe.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And although they're non-stick, like just make sure you season your food well, and you can add a little bit of water to help with that as well.
Yeah. So my great grandmother, she's 96. She just had COVID and lived. She's incredibly strong, and like 4'9". She like swore by just putting a shitload of butter on everything she cooked.
Let's go.
Like
that's it.
There's no non-stick because it's just there's so much butter. Nothing's gonna stick to a pan that's completely covered in butter.
Absolutely not.
She's so she's still alive, 96 years old. Like the amount of butter, like people would be like, wow, that's a lot of butter. If you saw how much butter she puts in a pan. Amazing. So that's obviously anecdotal, but I trust anecdotes more than I trust science.
Yeah, at this point in time, I would have to agree with that as well. If you look at Mediterranean diets, you know how much olive oil they use?
Yeah.
They basically
it's their main fat source.
You're drinking olive oil. You're literally drinking olive oil when you eat Mediterranean food half the time, or like
Hmm.
Italian food half the time. Like you are drinking olive oil, and it's not even exaggeration, especially with vegetables. So you'll have like a
Yeah.
carbohydrate and a fat. The only problem is they don't have too much protein, which is why they're so skinny a lot of the time, which is like kind of
Yeah.
cringe. But like the protein they have is a lot cleaner than like North American protein, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's true.
It's really cool about Europe. Like they actually care about the quality of like their farm animals essentially. And the same goes for like Japan and stuff. And
Mm.
but they do have a lot of fish, which is usually
Fish is good
lower
for you.
in fat, I think. I'm not sure. Or is it higher in
I
fat?
It depends on the fish, obviously, but yeah, usually
Yes,
it is
depends on the
typically
fish.
lower. Yeah,
Yeah,
fish is good protein.
yeah,
Yeah, I really
definitely good.
noticed that when I was in Denmark that although the food was more expensive, everything was quality. Like you 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 have to look hard to find. Even if you go to a McDonald's, it's better. Like it's
They
just a
probably
higher
still use
standard.
they probably still use beef tallow, maybe. Actually, probably
I
not.
don't think so, but
Probably not.
that would be based if they did.
That'd be sweet. Yeah, yeah. Well, anyways,
Yeah, we can close off this. I think that was a good episode. I think people will
yeah.
like that.
All right.
Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food. Hippocrates.